Now, I love deer hunting strategy, and it almost gets depressing. I've talked about this before, but you get into the new year, and in the case of Minnesota here, all the deer seasons are done. And so it's almost a little depressing. Like, I love deer hunting content. I love creating deer hunting strategy, rut strategy, how to hunt nocturnal bucks, how to narrow down a buck. We talk buck all the time because they're the lowest hole in the bucket. Those are easy to kill once you have them patterned, if you're not over pressuring the land, if you have dedicated food sources, whether you're on public or private land, then hunting does should be the easy part. If it's not easy, you need to go back to the drawing board. When it comes to hunting bucks, you need to have a different level of strategies. They're independent thinkers, they're parties of one. The older they get, the fewer friends they have. They travel alone, they make decisions alone, and for that makes them a lot more wary and, to me, hunting pressure sensitive. So when we're out here and we're talking hunting strategy, I just can't help, we make deer hunting habitat videos this time of year. We're gonna go talk about a bedding area right down here. We're gonna talk about trail camera scouting for wintertime here in a second. So we're shooting a few videos out here. But bottom line is, I can't help but put a little hunting strategy in every set of videos we do, and this is one of them. People talk about, hey, I have this favorite stand location of mine. It's in a great location. And when do you just go all in? And when you just not worry about the wind, just go in and hunt. What day is that? What time of the rut is that? What time of the year is that? What time of the day, afternoon, morning is that? The easy answer, never. This is a stand location right here that's really critical to us. It's a very important one. We had really good luck with it the first year. We actually have a water hole right over here, and with all the snow that we have and crust, you can barely see a dent over there in the snow. That's a 300-gallon water tank. We normally have a camera right back here, and I actually moved that camera. That's a part of another strategy. But this water hole, kind of see it right here, it really goes down deep. Deer come into it from this side. We have a mock scrape behind there in the corner. And then at about 23 yards, we have a stand location right over there by the Kubota. So you see the stand location right up there. It's one of Jack Turner's from Family Traditions, one of his ladder stands. Hides in there really nice. And we had some great hunts from here. Where you don't have good hunts from here is when the wind is not going that direction back uphill. And it's not a matter of just direction. This hollow goes a long ways winding down to the south-southeast. What that means is we need south-southeast winds to come appreciably up this draw. Now in the morning, any south wind here is going to end up uphill. So we're really safe. We can get into this stand location. But in the evening, even if we have the wind direction we're looking for, it's got to be at least 6, 7, 8 miles an hour and sustained, meaning it's not going down, it's not variable to 0 or 2 and then back up again, so that it pushes our scent up into the hill and out into the field behind us where there's no deer. So we're not even looking at location of wind, just that, and direction of wind, where it's coming from, where it's going to in the afternoon, evening, but how hard it's blowing so that it keeps pushing uphill right back here. Because deer are traveling by and large this way. They're by and large going that way. There's a major food source about 300 yards over there. There's bedding area right down below. We're actually enhancing the bedding there and there so we can compact more deer up in here and have a little window for an actual mature buck. I was sitting here in the afternoon in October, 45, the buck I shot later. I passed him up because Dylan wasn't filming with me. Dante, it just wasn't that time of the year. I wanted to see what other bucks were here. He ended up coming by me right here. We call him 45. He's a 5-year-old. He walked right down this trail. We had a camera right over here. And he was bedded down there somewhere. He had to be, because if he was bedded a half mile away, he wouldn't have been here before dark. So bottom line is, we have to make sure that our wind doesn't backdraft with the thermals going down to nothing towards dark and they get pulled right downhill. We have to make sure our wind's not coming from this direction, because then it's going to swirl down here and end up going towards this bedding area. Blowing the side, will eventually end up downhill down here in the afternoon, evening. And so the best wind for here, doesn't matter if it's morning with a some type of southerly wind just blowing back this way, and it'll always lift in the morning. We have to have that south wind in the evening, the south-southeast right around there, maybe a little south-southwest that goes up here, but we start to hit this hillside and it'll swirl around. But we have to have that perfect wind direction, which is only about 90 degrees at the most of wind direction here. And then in the afternoon and evening, we have to consider the actual miles per hour so that it has enough oomph to beat those thermals and push back uphill, back out into the open field. Now, one thing with those thermals, we have about 350 feet, 400 feet of elevation change here. If we were in the mountains and we had 1,000 feet, then those thermals are going to be a lot more powerful. They're going to be less powerful if you only have 100 feet of elevation. So you have to consider all those things. That's why we have our Hills and Thermals web class that we just came out with. We detail all these. Dylan uses 3D graphics with HuntWise, and we can show that imagery. We try to draw it out on a whiteboard too. The bottom line is, there is a perfect wind direction for every stand location. When do you use those stands? Of course, we want to make sure that we have current sign here, current rubs, scrapes, tracks. It looks like bucks are using the area. We try to always have the ability for a mock scrape like we have here and a camera location so we can actually look at those pictures. We have a cell cam here sometimes. The bottom line is we want to make sure there's some purpose down here in the first place, or we're not hunting anywhere. But to use a specific stand within that purpose, we have to have the wind direction correct, or we're not using that stand. That's a basic factor and ingredient to a successful hunt that I think a lot of people are missing. You need to think about it during hunting season, of course. We hit this hard. How much scent you leave behind, even walking through the woods. We use a limit shield so we can spray off our boots. We use clean clothes so when we're walking through the woods back and forth, we're not leaving a scent trail all over the woods. But when it comes to planning your stand locations in the off season, we're out here now looking at this bedding area right over here. New camera location down here. But bottom line is, when we're out this time of year and we're scouting, we're checking out stand locations, we're looking at not necessarily, you know, the factor of we need a certain stand for a certain wind. We're looking at if the deer are moving in this location, this is where we can safely hunt. And then once we safely hunt, we need this wind to hunt this stand. So we're specifically looking out for good spots, but we're marking down that wind direction. You actually can mark down your ideal wind direction in the windcast portion of HuntWise too. So you can do that, but bottom line is every stand has a set wind that is perfect, and you need to pay attention to that greatly or it can ruin your land. A lot of times people think, well, it's so much easier to hunt on private land than public land. But folks, when you have 100 acres, when you have 50 acres, when you have 500 acres, if you hunt your stands with the wrong wind, you quickly make that property, even if it's 500 acres, turn into a nocturnal parcel because the deer are educated to you and they learn how to pattern you more than you pattern them. So always keep in mind the wind direction when you're heading out to stand location. We're talking about stand strategy this time of year. So when we're talking stand strategy, we're starting to talk about planning for stands, but this is highly relevant to the hunting season. This is the type of hunting strategy that I like to talk about because it involves this big picture planning of moving around the property and making sure that not only do we pick good stand locations, but that we pick good stand locations relative to the perfect wind to hunt it and have an effective hunt that not only lasts for the hunt that we plan to set it with that perfect wind, but the following and subsequent opportunities and potentials for hunts that aren't spoiled because we picked the wrong wind direction relative to the right stand in a given area. Hey, I'm really excited to introduce to you our Hills and Thermals web class. It's something we worked on all year. We're trying to put lots of facets of scouting, aerial imagery, diagrams on the whiteboard to really teach you how the wind moves through hills and how you should find bedding areas, how it relates to deer movements in general, how that relates to this is a bedding area stand, this is a food source afternoon stand. We really tried to put this together and offer you a complete picture of how to navigate hills and find better success consistently where you hunt.